Okay, it's 7 p.m. This is the beginning of the meeting. The Village of Seward Council meeting, regular meeting on January 16th, 2024, 7 p.m. The Village of Seward respectfully acknowledges that the land we are gathered on is the unceded territory of the Comox First Nation, the first keepers of this land. Call to order. And now we move to public input. Maximum of 2 minutes per speaker, 15 minutes total allowed for the total time. The public input is for the purpose of permitting people in the gallery to provide feedback and shall be no longer than 15 minutes unless approved by majority vote of council. Each speaker may provide respectful comment on any topic they deem appropriate and not necessarily on the topics on the agenda of the meeting. Each speaker may not speak for longer than 2 minutes, but may have an opportunity, if time permits, to speak for longer. Each speaker must not be allowed to speak regarding a bylaw in respect of which a public hearing has been held. For the record, please state your name and address prior to speaking. Do we have anyone who would like to speak? Thank you.
Uh, 410 McMillan Drive, Seward. I'd like to know the status of the OCP and the 2024 budget.
Thank you. I believe that's a simple answer, Mr. CEO. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The update regarding the OCP is we are still working on it. And the budget, I will be presenting to council this week some committee of the whole. We refer to them as COW meeting dates for us to gather and start doing our budget planning.
Great, thank you. Is there any other speaker?
I'm curious, we've been reading a lot about the mayor and his legal problems, and I'm wondering who's paying for his legal fees?
All information relative to what you've described as social media gossip, I guess you would call it. That's correct. There is a process that any organization, including this village, follows relative to situations that have to be dealt with in camera. And completion of that in-camera process requires that once that is resolved, that information will be brought forward to the public. So appreciating that everyone loves clicking buttons and having things going at left, right, and center, it will go through the process and eventually information relative to any topic in camera will be brought forward to the public. Thank you. Is there another speaker? Step forward, please.
I'm sure you're aware of that. So
I'm sorry, Chair. I can't hear who's speaking.
No, you can't. You can never hear when I'm up here. That is correct. That's just the point. That's what I'm making.
CAO, is that something we've run into before? Mr. Mayor, who's online, and also Councillor Paulson's online, have we experienced that problem before?
I'm sorry, I can't hear what the problem was.
Okay, the problem was that the presenter questioning, commenting at this time has expressed that when she speaks, unlike I would gather other presenters, she has not been able to be heard. CAO has a question. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Mayor.
I don't
Mhm.
mean to interrupt. I think we've heard comments about the quality of the microphone before. Maybe staff needs to look into an alternative microphone or something. This wireless microphone has, and I heard from other staff, it's been problematic previously. So
Right.
certainly nothing against the speaker or speakers, but it has caused us issues in the past.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So the technology will be looked at. Thank you. No, you have one question, one comment, and then we have to ask if there's another speaker who would like to speak. Thank you. You will have an opportunity if their 15 minutes is not done, if anyone else would like to speak. Yes, please present yourself at the front and name and address, please. Thank you.
And also to clarify with the RCMP that they are in fact, have been authorized to act on this bylaw. This past New Year's Eve, we had the usual yahoos firing off fireworks in the village, including persons across the street from me shooting off bottle rockets at 2 a.m. I'm not sure what that was in celebration of. And I contacted the RCMP and had a less than civil discussion with a RCMP officer about why he was not attending the Salmon River Inn, as it is within the municipal boundaries and was subject to the bylaw controls. He argued with me that it wasn't in town and it wasn't his jurisdiction. So, we finally got that straightened out. And although he did apologize, I'm not really sure why we aren't seeing enforcement of this bylaw. I spoke to the fire chief. Why did we bother? Why did we try for 4 years to get something done about this? In the winter, there isn't that much likelihood of somebody's property being set on fire. But in the July, August, September long weekends, even on Halloween, when we've had campfire restrictions and no burning restrictions and stuff like that, you get some idiot out there firing off an incendiary device in the village, and that needs to end.
Okay, thank you. CEO, is that something we can put on a future agenda to look at raising the efforts on that, or is that something that doesn't need to be put on agenda? Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We can certainly post the bylaw on the village website, and I can have a look to see if it's there now. And if it's not, we can post it on the website. Just a friendly reminder, the village responds to bylaw complaints. So typically, I think most of the village knows we don't have a full-time bylaw enforcement officer. We don't actually have a part-time bylaw enforcement officer, but we do respond to bylaw complaints. And this is the first, Miss Ettinger's complaint is the first I've heard. So I'd be happy to speak with the RCMP about further, about their role in administering that, enforcing that.
Excellent, thank you. So we can leave that to staff to follow up. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Thank you for that question. As we all know, this is a very small village. There are limited staff. We deal with those issues relative to staffing availability for bylaw enforcement. And that's the reality. That doesn't fully answer your question, but it is the nature of a small village and staying on budget. Certainly, we could increase the number of staff here. That would involve tax increases. So lots of consideration. appreciate everyone's input on that matter, but that is the reality of where we live. I'll ask the CAO if he has any other comments relative to that. Nope, he's fine. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Ago, they put new street lights and they deemed it was necessary. And I'm wondering,
Excuse me, you need to identify yourself and the address you live
oh,
at.
I
Thank you.
already did earlier, so I figured.
I'm sorry, you need to repeat it again. Thank you. Thank you.
How much money is this saving the village?
Thank you for that question. I have no idea. I assume that these are energy efficient lights and are helping the village. I believe it was an installation through Hydro, if I'm incorrect or right. I'm just looking at the CAO. He's nodding. Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I actually don't know the answer to this question, but I can say from previous experience that sometimes the hydro pole, or pardon me, the lighting poles or the lights themselves belong to the municipality, and sometimes they belong to BC Hydro. And so we may or may not have jurisdiction over those lights. I defer to council if they have information about that, or I can follow up and get the answer to the question later.
Thank you very much. As I recall, if we're seeking council input, the process was brought forward by Hydro, was basically, there's pretty much wasn't any choice. It saves British Columbia power. That's the idea. That's why they're installing them. We're all about saving power so we can power more things. That's what I recall. Just give me one moment and I will recognize Councillor Bouchette perhaps has something to add to this. Please proceed.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I was just gonna have you notice Councillor Paulson might have input to this, so I was just getting your attention.
Oh, thank you very much. Councillor Paulson, my apologies. I've got to get used to using my right eye and looking up there at you two. So please proceed.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Deputy Mayor. One thing I can't hear, just like Mayor Baker can't hear, when people are up at the microphone. So I'm not sure who the speakers were, and they seem to come in about 10 or 15 seconds after they've started speaking. So, and my understanding with the public question period was that people were coming forward to ask their questions, and then the staff was making a note of them, and if the answers could be provided within the next 2 weeks until the next meeting. And so we're not giving our individual views on what the things is, but the question would be answered by all of council.
Thank you, Councillor Paulson. I would agree with that. If it's quite simple, we try to answer them right now. If not, staff will take care of it. Thank you for your input. Anyone else have any other questions? We have 2 more minutes. Please proceed to the microphone and identify yourself and address. Thank you. Oh, sorry, just before you proceed to the microphone, the mayor online has a question, I believe. Thanks to my cohorts here.
Thank you, Chair. The question was in relating to the light. I didn't hear the question that was brought forth by the mayor, or pardon me, by the public. If it was regard to the type of lighting, they changed it and they forced us into all the lighting becoming LED, if we remember correctly. And it was something that we didn't have a choice on. So I'm sorry, I didn't catch the question itself, just from the feedback that I'm hearing now.
Yes, thank you very much. What I will do is we have another minute for another question. I will repeat the question, and until we resolve our technology issue, the chair, whoever that is, at whatever time, will repeat the question from the public. Okay, is there one other person? We have 1 more minute left. Yes, you can. We have 1 minute. Please proceed to the microphone and identify yourself. Thank you.
I have a question as to what's happening with the chickens. This was supposed to be dealt with today, but I don't see it on the agenda, but it may be on the agenda. I just haven't seen it yet.
What? Oh, no, sorry. My apologies. I thought you were done. Yeah, okay. My apologies. Please proceed.
Can't hear.
What's happening? I ordered my last 17. Get things in order. Some of it was canceled, some just didn't fall together. But when it finally did last October, I know some people don't like chickens. I'll talk to the person directly if necessary. Chickens need to go through. Chickens cannot wait for your council and the CAO to decide. They have their own agenda. They can lay in from March on or whatever. Time is now. He promised, I heard it, that we're gonna have chickens on in March of this year. If it doesn't go through today, there's gonna be delayed. It's gonna be more of a delay, more than 17 months. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for the question. Just to repeat the question, it's regards to the chicken potential bylaw that is in process. It's being reviewed by staff still. It has taken longer than we anticipated, but that's the nature of a small town and staffing issues and moving things forward. There is no individual councillor, including the mayor, who can promise anything. Bylaws have to be brought forward, reviewed, information provided, votes happening. So that's the nature of the political process. Thank you for your question, though. We are done. Thank you. Sorry, we have answered your question and our time is up. We have to move on with our meeting. Thank you for bringing it forward. Thank you. Okay, our public question period has finished for now. Just a reminder to the public that's here, and thank you for being here. There is a public question period at the end of the meeting, so you have ample opportunity to continue whatever questions you would like at that time. Now we're going to move on to the agenda. Our next point here is the introduction of late items. Are there any important, urgent late items that need to be added? Is that your hand up, Councillor Paulson?
No.
I'm recognizing Councillor Paulson. She's
No.
doing a no. Okay, the next hand up is Councillor Burchett. Do you have an important, urgent item to add to the agenda?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, I would like a verbal staff report update on Councillor Paulson's donated art that should already be hanging in the chambers here. So I'd like that added to unfinished business.
So is that an urgent item? Is there a reason that wasn't brought forward previously?
Yeah, the CAO doesn't answer my email, so I have to bring this up.
Excuse me, Councillor Burchett, you must follow the code of conduct. That is your, excuse me, Councillor Burchett, that is your first warning. Any individual in this room who crosses the code of conduct or our safe, respectful work policy will be given one warning, a second warning, and then on the third warning, they will be asked to leave. That is the way a meeting works and the Roberts Rule of Orders. Thank you.
Yep. So
okay, excuse me, Councillor.
Councillor Burt. And I'm not finished. I have a few more items.
Excuse me. I'm going to give you your second warning. If you're going to continue to interrupt, you'll be asked to leave. That is your second warning.
Session? I'm not interested in being bullied.
We are addressing your first point, sir. Thank you. I'm looking at the CAO for his point.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Just want to clarify for clarity, I did not receive any email from Councillor Burchett regarding any matter, but specifically about a request to have an item added to the agenda about the First Nations art.
Thank you. As the chair, this is not an urgent item. Please proceed through the normal process if you would like that item added to a future agenda. Okay, anyone else with a urgent item that needs to be added to our agenda? Councillor Burchett.
Thank you. I'd like to add to the agenda the virtual meeting links policy for review today and discussion. We've had people that have tried to get on meetings that have not been allowed, and we don't have a resolution for this policy, and I like that reviewed tonight, please.
That is a very good point, Councillor Burchett. We believe that is an urgent issue too, because there have been questions. So I would suggest that I'm going to make a motion that we add that to the agenda as something that we can vote on, and we can discuss that at that time. And what would we add that under, CAO?
So I would suggest that Councillor Burchett make the motion for council to discuss a policy relating to online participation with council meeting minutes, and that be added as a new business.
Great, thank you. Under new business, we'll add that item. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Burchett, we have a full agenda this evening. Can I ask you, as you have been asked before, how many items you would like to add? Are we going one by one, and are these urgent? Please answer that question first.
Excuse me, Chair. Point of order. Correct me if I'm wrong, but introduction of light items, the councillors have an opportunity to send in prior to the Wednesday anything they would like on the agenda. If that has not been done and it is not an urgent legal or financial matter, then quite frankly, it's not considered an introduction of a late item.
Great, thank you for that clarification. CAO.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have a motion that council discuss a video link or a council meeting links policy be added as new business. I need someone to second that, and then you'd have to make a motion to have that added to the agenda.
Okay.
I'll second that.
So that's added now? Okay, thanks.
You need discussion and the vote.
Discussion before adding? Okay, here we go. Let's discuss it. First person up is Councillor Paulson.
Is that not just added to the new business, and when we come to new business, we have the discussion and?
As I understand it, apparently this is a discussion about whether it should be accepted as new business this evening. Right. As a late item.
Okay, I don't.
Councillor Burchett.
I support adding it.
Councillor Burchett, this is discussion.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm aware of that, and my discussion is that I think this is pertinent, that we have a policy in place that represents all the people, the constituents of Sayward, that if they cannot attend public meetings due to a disability or any other means, that they should be allowed to attend virtually. We would be discriminating against people that aren't able to get here due to their physical nature or whatever means, but these are public meetings and they should be able to be attended by anyone, whether it's virtual or in person.
Great, thank you, Paul. Councillor Burchett, any other comments? I will add a comment myself, which is that in terms of the discussion and the voting on whether this should be added to the agenda this evening, I will add that in the move forward since COVID, We have been recording meetings. Meetings are fully available, as I understand, 2 business days approximately after the meetings have occurred. And that's my thoughts. But in
sorry.
terms of
Point of
specifically,
order,
sorry,
Chair.
my mistake. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My point of order, your call.
My point of order is we're discussing whether or not to add it to the agenda, not the merits of the decision.
Correct. Thank you very much. My fault. I went off
you.
topic. Thank you for calling my point of order. In terms of adding it, I am fully agreeing with adding it tonight because it seems to be a hot issue, meeting the requirement. So we will take the vote now. All in favor of adding this? Carried. Thank you. And that'll be under new business, correct? Okay. Introduction of late items. Councillor Burchett, I'll ask you one more time, how many more items do you have? We have a very busy agenda this evening.
Yeah, I'd like to add to the agenda a staff report on new employees that were hired. I see some new employees that work in the community. So I'd like an update, and I'm sure the constituents of Sayward would like an update on who's new and what's going on.
Is there a reason you haven't brought this forward through the normal process while you're adding it now?
Like I repeated before, I send the CAO emails and he doesn't answer them. So
Sorry, that
Okay.
is unacceptable conversation. Unacceptable.
Excuse me, Chair. Again, introduction of late items for items that are pressing in terms of maybe a grant or they're urgent. If we can keep to the late items there, but again, we have a policy
Yes.
in place stating that the late items need to be introduced to the CAO on the Wednesday prior to cutoff for the following agenda. If that has not been done, I think we're wasting time.
Yes, we are wasting time.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. We will move on with the agenda. No, I'm sorry, Councillor Burchett, you have had your time and we have described the process and we are moving on with a very busy agenda. Thank you. Please do remember the code of conduct. You have one more call. Excuse me. You have one more call and that's it. Okay. Approval of the agenda. Recommended resolution that the agenda for the regular meeting of council for January 16th, 2024 be approved as amended. Is that correct? CAO just has his hand up. Thank you, CAO.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I do have a couple of notes relating to the agenda. In your package is a correspondence piece, Connected Coast Project 2023 Year in Review. It's included in your package, but it's not listed. Can council please add that as correspondence item I? It'll be out of order if you leave your package the way it is, but if we can just add it as item I. And secondly, I request that you pull correspondence item included in your package, a letter RE Village of Sayward Drainage Project Federal Improvement Impact Assessment and Indigenous Consultation Requirements. This letter has been replaced with another by the sender and will be presented to council at a later time. So if you could just pull that.
Pull that
Thank you.
letter. Excellent. Thank you.
Again, it's not listed. I apologize, but it is in your package.
Yep. Couple of cleanup items there. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, back to the recommended resolution that the agenda for the regular meeting of the council on January 16th, 2024 be approved as amended.
I'll move that.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Mayor Baker has seconded that. All in favor? Or in favor? One against. Councillor Burchett is against that. On to the number item 5, minutes of the previous meetings, recommended resolutions. We'll start one by one here. There's 4 meeting minutes relative to being reviewed. The recommended resolution is that the minutes from the regular council meeting held on October the 3rd, 2023 be adopted. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by the mayor, I believe. And is that you, Councillor Paulson, seconding it?
No, I'm not seconding it. I was going to move to have these minutes tabled until a further meeting because there are many errors in all of the first three. October
So are you
3rd.
making a motion, Councillor Paulson?
Well, I was just explaining, yeah. But so I would like to make a motion that we table all of the previous minutes for adoption until the next meeting.
Do I have a seconder for
April
that?
6th.
I will second that.
Oh, discussion?
Okay.
Councillor Burchett?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Tinsley. I agree with Councillor Paulson that all these minutes are grossly erroneous and there's pages and pages of corrections that need to be done, and it would be not in our favor to put these in the books the way they are.
Thank you. Anyone else for discussion? I would like to say that I haven't found any gross discrepancies in minutes. I find that individuals' feelings about those are interesting, but I will defer to council's decision on a vote as to whether we would like to defer, but I'm also going to look to the CAO, our professional, relative to is that appropriate for us to follow up with on that motion?
Yes, it is, Deputy Mayor. And when you conclude with this matter, I'd request we take a recess to discuss council conduct. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we're going to take the vote now on the motion. Am I missing something, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, if there are mistakes or things that have been missed in the minutes for the previous meetings, it's really not a big deal to move them to April 6th to have the corrections made or a discussion to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Excellent. Thank you for those comments. Okay, we'll now vote on whether we are going to move those to the next meeting for review.
Point of order.
Thank you. Point of order. Yes.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. If there's a second on a tabled item, isn't that just tabled and there should be no vote?
Can you please clarify that? A tabled item. She's made a motion to that we're discussing right now on whether to move the review of these minutes to a later meeting. That's my understanding. Am I missing something?
Yeah, I seconded her motion for that to be tabled, so the item should just be tabled. I don't believe it goes to a vote.
I'll refer to the CAO when someone makes a motion and there's a seconder. As I understand, there should be discussion and then there should be a vote on that.
I would need to refer to our procedure bylaw to clarify that, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So what we'll do at this point in time is we will take a 10-minute break as requested by the CAO. As he's referenced the reason for that, and also at that time we may be able to review that bylaw. Otherwise, we do have a full agenda, and so we will return in 10 minutes from the current time on the clock. Sorry, just before we go, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, could we make that 15, please?
Yes, we can make that 15. So 15 minutes. Thank you. 15-minute break from the time on whatever watch. Okay. So we'd like to call the meeting back to order here, and it's 7:48 after our brief break there. We still have 4 remaining councillors here, so we do have a quorum. And CAO, correct me if I'm wrong, we still need to vote on the movement of the minutes, the motion that Councillor Paulson had. Is that correct? I don't believe we've voted on that.
Yeah, if we could have, I think there was discussion occurring. There was consensus that the meeting minutes could be tabled. And in light of us going in camera, I did not have an opportunity to check whether we need to actually vote on it. I would suggest we vote on it, you vote on it as a backup. And
Okay, thank you. So all in favor of tabling the minutes to another meeting, per Councillor Paulson's motion, please raise your hand. All in favor? Okay, we have 3 in favor and all against. Councillor Paulson, are you against? That's correct. You didn't put your hand up. You're in favor? We can't hear you. You're muted. If you're in favor, put your hand up. You're in favor. There we go. The motion is carried. All in favor. Great, thank you. Okay, now we move on to item 6, additions and delegations. Just a reminder that delegates making their presentations, we have a 10-minute maximum for the presentation. And our delegate this evening is under item A there, Mr. Alex Turner, Area A resident, information workshop on disincorporation, in brackets, dissolution of the village of Sayward. Mr. Turner, thank you.
I just want to check before my 10 minutes begins. Can you hear me?
Yes. So far, so good. Thank you.
The new mic seems to be working. Excellent. Thank you, CAO.
Until now, we can't hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better.
Can I make a suggestion, which would be that the presenter be allowed to use another mic? I believe the CAO is going to move the mic that he uses over to the presenter or another mic so that everyone will be able to hear. This is what we call the low-tech workaround.
Hold it. Sure, I can hold it. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, just give it a test.
Let's give it a check here and see if that's working. Can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Turner now?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, there we go.
And
Please.
Councillor Paulson, can you hear me? All right.
Okay, thank you.
So I was at the last meeting in regard to the letter that I'd sent in regard to a workshop in regard to dissolution of the village. I want to tell you at the outset that I don't have a position on the subject of dissolution. What I'm interested in is getting more information about the possible ramifications, the pros and cons of it, and a workshop that would help inform the public more widely of what the various ramifications of dissolution would be. You know, ironically, I come from a place where for the last 4 days, I've had no running water because my house has been frozen up. And I think, wow, isn't it nice to live in the village where you've got running water? So, Councillor Paulson, I want to thank you. You suggested that I come to this meeting as a delegation, and thank you for that invitation. I'm here to fulfill that. So the purpose of the workshop would be to inform people. We get a lot of opinion expressed through electronic media one way or other, and a lot of times it's not really based on good information. So my idea is to have a workshop that would bring information forward. You had the letter from me in this regard, the idea of a panel that would be composed of various people who have some authority on the subject. And I won't go into that further. There was one question asked, wouldn't councillors be included in this? And my answer to that is councillors will be included in the process, of course, but not on the panel. They're there to hear the information from the other people and then deliberate on it later on. And you'll see as the process goes forward, there's lots of opportunity to interact. So the first stage that would happen is the panel speaks. There'll be probably 5 people or 6 people on that panel. Each would speak for 5 to 7 minutes. And then we would break out into discussion groups. Now, the purpose of the discussion groups is not so much for people to express opinion, but to develop more sophisticated questions to ask of the panel. So as we discuss, people say, well, I need to know more about this, or I need to know more about that. Then the facilitator would group the questions together, and then the panel would convene again for a second time and answer the questions that have been developed through the public discussion. So in regard to the cost of this, if the council will sponsor this, then the cost will be almost negligible. The greatest cost will probably be the cost of the Kelsey Center. I think most of the presenters that would come from either municipal affairs or the regional district or a water improvement district, probably their expenses would be paid by their organizations. So it'd be very small expenses, possibly for some presenters who wouldn't be financed from their organization. So they're really little expense. I'm willing to do the facilitation myself. If the council wanted to hire another facilitator, then there would be a cost for that. But I'm willing to do that work at no cost to the village. I would say the only other cost would be some advertising, which would be done in your own local paper, maybe an article in the Campbell River newspaper, but I don't think the cost of advertising would amount to a thing very much. So I would say that this can be done probably for a few $100s, if that. So that gives a pretty rough outline of what I have in mind. Finally, because the nature of this kind of exchange with the council is always kind of a one-way discussion, you get to hear what I've got to say, but there's no discussion. So the final thing I would like to do is request that I be put on the agenda for the next committee of the whole, the COW meeting, where we could have a more fulsome discussion of the subject. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
I agree with Mr. Turner that we should move to an available cow so we can have more of a fulsome discussion posted outside of council. I don't know if we can guarantee the next cow, but I think it should be within the next couple and have it before, in between now and March would be appropriate in my opinion.
Okay. I think part of the discussion that would be good. Any other discussion on that, or do we need to make a motion? You've made a motion. Is that what you have, Mr. Mayor?
No, I have not made a motion, but I'd make a motion that we invite Alex Turner to an available cow between now and March 2024.
Do I have a seconder for that motion?
I'll second that.
Discussion. I did speak first. I think that's an excellent idea. Makes total sense to me. Any other points of discussion from other councillors? Nope. Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor of the motion as presented? All in favor, the motion is carried. Thank you, Mr. Turner. Now we move to item 7 on the agenda, which is correspondence. We have items A through I as listed. I will ask if any council people would like to pull any item for further discussion. Well,
I'd like to pull
first,
H, please.
the mayor would like to pull H, so we'll pull H. And any other items wish to be pulled? I believe I would request to pull item 7A. Anyone else? Oh, sorry, Councillor Paulson, you have your hand up. You'd like to pull an item?
You're on mute, Councillor.
You're on mute.
sorry about that. I would like to pull item J that the CAO added, which is the Infrastructure Canada.
The Coastal Connect, I believe that's item I.
No. Item
J was pulled.
J was,
Then-
who pulled that?
Yes, yeah.
I didn't hear that.
So that was pulled, so that's not an item.
Okay.
So
thank
then
you.
you're okay, is that correct?
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. So we're pulling items A and H. And I believe at this point, I'm going to ask for us to approve the other items. Is that correct or not? CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just suggest that council might want to pull, I digress. I apologize.
We're good. We're good. So let's approve and then have discussion on those pulled items. I make a motion to approve items B, C, D, E, F, and G, and I. Do I have a seconder? Do I have a seconder? Seconded by the mayor. I don't think we need further discussion. All in favor? Carried. Those items as listed are approved as received correspondence. So we'll move to alphabetically. We'll start with the first item, item A, request for support for Sayward Community Food Table Society. This is one where we are going to be actually readdressing it again because Councillor Paulson would like to be excused from the vote. She made an error in not excusing herself before, so we'd like to allow her to do that so we can make the motion for the vote on a request for support. Does that match with your understanding, Councillor Paulson?
Thank you. Yes, it does.
Great, thank you. So I'll just ask you to excuse yourself, however you do that electronically.
I was going to say, how do I do that electronically? Do I leave the meeting and then come back in?
I believe that's correct. Yes, CAO is nodding his head. Yes,
All right.
you'll have to leave the meeting and give us about 5 minutes and then call back in.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the request is for a letter of support relative to the society and its endeavors to attain grants. I make the motion that we accept presenting a support letter for the society from the village. And I'm going to ask for a seconder. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Gilkin, and now open for discussion.
No, it's still not, sorry, I'll put my hand up.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, your hand is up.
I'm sorry, it's still not very clear on, other than what Councillor Paulson has stated, it's still not very clear to what happens to the property that the grant is for once their property, the cable house, is sold to another buyer. So the letter does not clearly state what's going to happen in contingency plan with that, where the money exactly is going to go. So I'm reluctant to support it based on not knowing that information and not having it dictated in the letter.
Okay, thank you. CAO has a point.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Tinsley. Councillor Baker, or Mayor Baker, I'm not sure that it's been clarified if this grant is for the cable house. I believe in a conversation with Councillor Paulson before, she indicated that the Sayward Community Food Table was more of an initiative than just the cable house. I could be mistaken. To your other points around the letter, not fulsomely indicating what the grant, what particular grant it is, what the funds will be used for, etc., I would tend to agree with you there.
Thank you, CAO. Maybe I'll just add my discussion comment, which is my understanding is that the nonprofit society is not related to the ownership there. They are storing the food and currently, as I understand, using that facility potentially, although I've noticed what appears to be different activity going on that property, so I'm not sure. But I don't believe in the letter it's referencing anything to do with and I don't believe they have any real estate. So that would be my thought. That's the end of my part of the discussion. Councillor Gilkin, do you have anything you'd like to add? Okay, thank you. So at this point, unless there's further discussion, I think we need to take a vote on providing a support letter or not. So all in favor of a support letter, please raise your hands. I appear to be the only one in favor of a support letter. All against it? 2 against, that is defeated.
Just until we have more information.
Yes, we'd just like some more information. Is that achievable for staff to maybe just let them know? You just need more information. Does that make sense? Thank you, CAO.
Would you like to make a friendly amendment that that staff be directed to contact the author of the letter and ask them for further information?
I think that's a reasonable friendly
Please.
amendment. We're all in agreement on that, it appears, based on nodded heads. Yes, thank you. That friendly amendment is passed. We'll vote on that friendly amendment that the staff explore the need, request more information. So we'll vote on that now. All in favor? All are in favor, so that motion is passed. Thank you. Excellent. Nice friendly. Okay, we'll go to item H, the other pulled item, which is, oh no, wait, we've got to make sure Councillor Paulson is back. There she
I'm back.
is. You're back.
Yeah, I
Perfect.
just came back.
We actually did it in 5 minutes, didn't we? It was like perfect timing. Correspondence item H was the other item we pulled. Jason Johnson, Sayward Future Society, read the debut of the Kusum Climb video and a request to use the Kelsey Center Gymnasium for forgiveness of the associated user fees for that. Do we have a motion? I'll make the motion to accept that, and then we'll need a seconder, and then we'll have discussion. Do we have a seconder? The mayor has seconded that. Okay, now discussion about the pulled item. Who would like to go first? Mr. Mayor.
I'm in full agreement of this. I think Bill's Trail, the documentary called Bill's Trail, is going to be an asset to the community and help promote Sayward. So I don't have any issue with this at all.
Okay, do we have any other comments? Okay, I don't see any. Oh, there we are, Councillor Paulson.
Yes, I did watch the trailer for this, and it really gives you a lot of energy to go and climb the trail. I think once I get to the bottom of it, I might think twice, but it's very well done, and I agree that we should sponsor this Sayward Futures to have the showing, and we should advertise it in the Sayward News whenever it's going to be, so that a lot of people are aware. I'm sure they'll do their own advertising also, but it's a great promotional video for Sayward.
Great, thank you. Councillor Gilkin.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I fully endorse everything that Councillor Paulson and Mayor Baker have stated. I've climbed that mountain myself only once and probably won't do it again, but it is definitely a beautiful climb, and I shouldn't say that I'm not going to climb it again. We plan on doing it this summer, but I think it's an amazing achievement that Mr. Wessels has continues to clean that trail with the help of a few local folks. And I know that I've gone up with Bill myself. I've gone up with some of my family to help just keep him, going, keep that trail. I love it. I think it's amazing. And working at the restaurant, I do find many folks who do come to climb the mountain, and they always stop for food, and they're always saying, well, this is how we found Sayward, via the websites and via the QSIM climb that happens annually. So I fully support this as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you. CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So the motion directs staff to work with Sayward Future Society for the provision of Kelsey Center for the showing of Bill's Trail, the Coosan Climb story. I think that's what I heard as a motion. I also heard hint of possibly providing some advertising, but perhaps not. Could I have that clarified?
Thank you. That's a very good point. My feeling in furtherance of discussion would be that they're asking for the Kelsey Center user fees to be waived. I believe that's all we need to do. It's their baby, shall we say, and they will promote it whatever way they want. That would be my suggestion. We leave it as written here.
I agree.
Okay, so can we move to a vote on accepting it as submitted?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, passed. All are in favor. That item is done. And we've already covered the acceptance of the previous items. So I believe we are now able to move on to point 8.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Eight,
Councillor Burchett.
Letter J was also pulled, the Infrastructure Canada report.
Just to clarify, and
Yeah.
CAO will correct me if I'm wrong, it was actually removed from the whole package. It was put in there in error. There never was a J.
Okay, all right. So that will be discussed at a future meeting.
Yes, exactly.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Okay, point number 8, council reports, none. Point 9, reports of committees, none. Point 10, mayor's report, none. Unfinished business. Item 11A, lighting detection equipment agreement. I'm going to read the recommended resolutions, and then I'll ask the CAO to potentially speak to it. I recommend resolutions that that council receives the lighting detection equipment agreement staff report for information and discussion. That council approves the license of occupation agreement between the Village of Sayward and the Minister of Environment, and that the mayor and corporate officer be authorized to execute the agreement. Do I have a motion?
I'll move
So
that.
moved.
Moved by Councillor Gilkin, and seconded by the mayor. Discussion. Councillor Gilkin.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I fully support this motion. I believe this is a very important detection to have. I myself use the there's the apps that you can see where the lightning strikes are, and I know sorry, excuse my mouth. I have a wisdom tooth coming in. I know for fire season, I definitely watched when we had the forest fires over the summer. This was a really bad year, and I know lots of people did, in fact, check the websites for these strikes, and then that way it keeps people informed when there are dry times, dry days, and the lightning comes through and starts striking. And I know that I checked, and I know lots of my family checked. I know lots of constituents around the Valley Village did check as well. So I do fully support this motion. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Councillor Gilkin. I believe Councillor Paulson, you were next. You had your hand up earlier.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I recall when we discussed this earlier, we were talking about reducing the or that the previous agreement was on a 5-year term with 2 renewals, so it went for 15 years. And at the time, we were the staff was going to look into having that contract reduced. And I was reading through I read through the whole contract agreement, And then I checked with the community charter where it says, and there was a reason why the previous council voted for a 5-year term with 2 extending, is because in the community charter, it's recommended that when you're entering into contracts that it be a maximum of 5 years, so that with inflation or renewal or anything that needs to be altered with the second and third contracts, it can be done. So I wonder if there's any way that we can look into connecting with the person that wrote this agreement and discuss that a little bit further to see whether it's can be reduced to the 5-year term with 2 recurring.
Thank you, Councillor Paulson. I'll just add my 2 bits and then I'll go to the CAO, which is I believe the communication back that we have in our package reflects the fact that they want things as is. So I'll refer to the CAO.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm not, Councillor Paulson, I'm not sure if you've noticed in the discussion portion of the staff report, there's some comments in red. And those comments are the feedback from the program. And so I think what they've effectively done is we've asked the questions, all of council's questions. You can see I've asked those questions of them and they've responded. I just want to say to council, what you see is what I got. So there was no warm and fuzzy language. You're actually seeing the exact responses that I got. It's pretty black and white, cut and dry. I don't think there's a lot of room for flexibility.
Thank you, CAO, for that clarification. I'll just add my comments, which is we are talking about Environment Canada here. We are talking about the protection of everyone. I think we all recognize that there's a little bit of downloading on certain costs in all levels of government. But I believe that in my opinion, in furtherance to the discussion, that the protection of the public is of primary importance, and I believe we should go with what their responses are and accept it as. That's my discussion point. Any other discussion? Okay, we don't have any other discussion, so we will take the vote now. All in favor of the items as read, please raise your hand. 3 in favor. And against?
I'm against.
Councillor Paulson is against. So motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, on to item 12, staff reports. Item A under 12 is regional grant opportunity, UBCM, emergency support services. The recommended resolution is that council receive the regional grant opportunity, UBCM, Emergency Support Services Staff Report for information and discussion, and that as part of the Village of Sayward's ongoing work in relation to emergency planning, that an application for financial assistance under the Community Emergency Preparedness Fund 2024 Emergency Support Services grant be authorized for submission to the UBCM in collaboration with the Strathcona Regional District, SRD, and that the Village of Sayward agrees to the Strathcona Regional District submitting an application on their behalf, and that if funded, agrees to the Strathcona Regional District managing the grant and being the recipient of all funding. Do I have a motion to receive this?
So moved.
A move by the mayor. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Paulson, sorry. Discussion. Nobody's got their hand up, so I'll speak. One of my other duties here is emergency preparedness coordinator. This is, I'll use the term no-brainer. We're applying for money here. We coordinate everything with the SRD. And so I believe it's fully something that everyone should support, and hopefully we do get the grant and work together with them on this. That's my discussion. Any other discussion? No other discussion. We'll take the vote. All in favor? Carried. All are in favor. Thank you. Next item under the section 12, staff reports, item B, Regional Grant Opportunity, UBCM Emergency Operations Center. Kara Gervais, CAO, recommended resolutions that the report from the Chief Administrative Officer be received, and that as part of the Village of Sayward's ongoing work in relation to emergency planning, that an application for financial assistance under the Community Emergency Preparedness Fund 2024 Emergency Operations Center grant be authorized for submission to the UBCM in collaboration with the Strathcona Regional District, SRD, and that the Village of Sayward agrees to the Strathcona Regional District submitting an application on their behalf, and that, if funded, agrees to the Strathcona Regional District managing the grant and being the recipient of all funding. Do I have a motion to that effect?
I'll move that.
Councillor Gilkin, and the seconder, please.
I'll second that.
Councillor Paulson seconds it, and discussion. I will say ditto to my comments previously as part of the discussion. It's all about safety and hopefully attaining grants and working with our good partner, the SRD. So we'll take our vote now. All in favor? All are in favor. That motion is passed. Moving on to item C, Public Sector Accounting Board Standard on Asset Retirement Obligations and Proposed Asset Retirement Obligation Policy by Kara Gervais, CAO. Recommended resolutions that council received the Public Sector Accounting Board Standard on Asset Retirement Obligations and Proposed Asset Retirement Obligation Policy staff report for information and discussion, and that council adopts the Asset Retirement Obligation Policy as presented. Do I have a motion? Motion by the mayor. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Paulson. Discussion. Councillor Paulson.
Thank you. I didn't print off this report because I'm out of town, but I did read through it, and I see that it's quite a project or policy, and it mentions that consultants will be hired to assist with this work. And my question is, have we got this on the list for consideration in the 2024 budget, if that is going to take place this year? And also, it sounds like a very complex project, and the cost for the consultants' fees could be in the several thousands of dollars. So I would like to table this receiving and whether we're going to adopt it tonight until we can get a very comprehensive report from the staff on what the consultation fees may be estimated at, and where we're going to figure that out for the 2024 budget.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Paulson. Any other items of discussion from anyone else? I will add mine just really briefly, and then we'll go to the CAO. My understanding is that this is basically mandatory. We have no choice. We, as in other small communities, are a little bit behind the 8 ball in getting in compliance with this requirement. But I will return, that's my discussion point, and I will turn it over to the CAO.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Tinsley. Councillor Paulson, you're right. I think on almost every one of your points, it is going to be an initiative that we will require a consultant to assist us with. I've already sourced a consultant to do the work. It will require a budget. A staff report is coming forward to council for February 6th that will outline the work of a consultant and include the budget. As council is aware, from time to time, staff will bring projects forward to council for approval prior to the financial plan being adopted. That actually occurs from time to time, and we'll be doing that in this case. I just had a meeting with our auditor on Friday, who reminded me that the ARO work must be done before the village's financial statements can be audited. And he was encouraged to hear that we are, that my plans, at least, my staff work is to be moving this through council beginning tonight with the approval of the policy. I will tell you that the policy that's before you is likely the policy that most municipalities in the province have adopted. The asset retirement obligation work that has to be done is a PSAB, Public Sector Accounting Board policy, brought down and made mandatory for all local governments to provide and comply with. And this is the very last opportunity we have to do that in order to be compliant. So, yeah, like I said, Councillor Polson, everything you indicated is accurate, notwithstanding the fact that we do need to, it's very, very important. I must impress upon council, it's very important that we get on track with this. And the very beginning of it would be this, what I would refer to as largely boilerplate policy that's been adopted by most municipalities. And that'll be the first step. And you'll hear more from staff on February 6th.
Great, thank you, CAO. Any other discussion points from any other councillors?
Could I ask another question?
Yes.
What is the absolute deadline date? And I'm not comfortable with looking at spending like several $1,000s on a consultant. And is this consulting going to be, what do you call it, when you send out requests for proposals or for you get costs on there must be consultants that have done this for other municipalities and have an idea of what they need to do and how much it would cost.
Thank you, Councillor Paulson. Over to the CAO for a response.
Thank you, Councillor Polson. Yes, for the last month or so, I've been reaching out to people for quotes, and and I've received some. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself in terms of speaking out of turn with process and things, but yes, we've received quotes. Just to make it clear for everybody's understanding, this is a financial reporting. And so what has to happen is the village needs to identify its asset retirement obligations. Those normally exist through old infrastructure, such as pipes with asbestos, buildings with asbestos, maybe paint, some flooring, etc., piping. A value of having to clean up those obligations is assigned to the obligation, to the asset, and then the village is compelled to set aside money to clean up or replace those assets sometime down the road. That can be 50 years, it can be 20 years, etc. But the village is mandated to have to set aside the money. What I'm doing in a very long-winded way is telling you that we must have these financial figures in place for our budget process, Councillor Polson. And so it is mandatory for us to do this work. It's work that every municipality has been mandated to do. And the policy is the first step, and you'll hear more from me in a staff report regarding a consultant and costs on February 6th.
Good, thank you,
Thank
CAO.
you very much.
Thank you. Any other discussion points, or can I move to the vote? Now I see no other hands up, so we'll move to the vote. All in favor? 3 in favor, 4 in favor. We have unanimous acceptance. Okay, we're on to item, oh, it's a little bit of an alphabetical thing. It goes from C to E, but we'll call it DE. DE, grant applications. Approved funding, Care Givet, CAO. Recommended resolutions that council receives the grant applications, approved funding staff report for information and discussion, that the 2023 through 2027 financial plan be amended to incorporate $123,600 from the Community to Community C2C program grant and $10,000 from the UBCM Community to Community C2C program grant to fund the projects identified in the December 19th, 2023 report from the CAO. Do I have a motion? The mayor makes that motion. Do I have a seconder?
Second that.
Councillor Gilkin seconds it. Discussion. Councillor Paulson.
Thank you. First of all, I think the amounts for the community to community and the UBCM well, it says community to community program grant. I think they're mixed up. Isn't the community to community program grant $10,000 that we got?
Thank you for that question. I'll just ask the CAOs, just double checking where the figures and how they are listed here.
So I'm looking at the report. It says C to C. There's a table. The funding from this grant is for the following projects: C to C forums. There's a table there, a one-line table, $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading further down. Oh, I see. There's that the 2020 be amended to incorporate from the community. Oh, I see. I think
It was from the community resilience.
hold on for a sec. Okay. Okay, pardon me. The resolution should read that the 2023-2027 financial plan be amended to incorporate 123,600 from the UBCM Complete Communities Program. Comma, and $10,000 from the UBCM Community to Community C2C program grant to fund the projects identified in the December 19, 2023 report from the CAO.
So we'll make that amendment, that correction. Thank you, Councillor Paulson, for catching that.
Well, and
Many-
can you just remind me what the projects identified in the December 19th, 2023 report? Because I thought that meeting didn't happen. I thought that meeting was canceled.
So thank you, Councillor Paulson. So that should read identified in the January 16th, 2024 report.
Okay.
I will make that.
And what were those projects?
those are the projects that are listed here in the report, which are the C2C forums for $10,000 and the land use and infrastructure analysis for
Okay.
zoning bylaw modernization.
Okay, so now what I'm wondering is, because these projects aren't starting until 2024, why would they go into the 2023 financial plan? So if they went into deferred revenue and be added to the, I was looking back at last year's report where the deferred revenue went into the next year's revenue expenses, and then included in the revenue and expenses when the 2024 budget planning is done. I'm just,
Councillor Jensen?
Oh, sorry. The CEO has an answer. My apologies for looking down.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Paulson, you're right on the mark, and you'll notice nowhere in this report am I suggesting that these be added to the 2023 budget. What I'm doing effectively is I'm officially reporting to council about the budget, about the grants that we successfully applied to. And
Right.
that's part of our procedures. In fact, later on, you'll see there's a budget amendment, and nowhere in that budget amendment are these items included. So you get a 5-star for your budget knowledge. Neither of these projects have begun and had activity in 2023, and therefore they're not being reported on until 2024, financially reported on.
okay.
Great, thank you.
So could that be added to the resolution then, that just what you said, that the monies, the grant monies would be added to the 2024 budget?
I don't think it needs to be added, Councillor Paulson. That's just financial, that's just financial accounting. It happens whether we want to do it or not.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Yeah, that
Thank-
clarifies that for me.
Thank you for those questions, Councillor Paulson. Any other items of discussion from any other councillors? Okay, we're going to move to the vote. All in favor? Carried. All are in favor. As amended, my apologies. Thank you, CAO. As amended, as described by the CAO. And thank you, everyone, for the many eyes on everything. Okay, so we're on to number 13, Emergency Services / Public Works / Recreation Department reports. 13A, Kelsey Recreation Center report for November 2023. Michelle Davis, Recreation Manager. Recommended resolution that council receive the Kelsey Recreation Center November 2023 staff report for information and discussion. Do I have a motion?
I'll move that.
Councillor Paulson moved that. Do I have a second?
Oh.
I'll second that.
Okay, I think the mayor seconded it. Okay, we're good. Discussion on the November 2023 report. Any discussion items? Councillor
I don't
Paulson.
know. Yes, thank you. I don't know if this is the place to bring it up now, but would this be the time to make a note to add to the 2024 budget the possibility of a pilot project to keep the rec center open for the summer this year?
That
Or would
sorry,
that be at budget time?
Thank you, Councillor Paulson. The signal from the CAO is that would be during budget time.
All right,
We would
thank
be
you.
looking at
Make a
planning
note,
time.
yeah.
Thank you for that question. Any other discussion items from other councillors on that specific report? No, I'll take the vote now. All in favor of accepting that as is? Hands up, please. All in favor, motion carried. Item B in that same section, Kelsey Recreation Center report for December 2023. Michelle Davis, Recreation Manager, recommended resolution that council receive the Kelsey Recreation Center December 2023 staff report for information and discussion. Do I have a motion?
I'll move that. Oh,
Councillor
sorry.
Paulson has moved that and the mayor has seconded that. Now we're open for discussion on the December 2023 report. Any items of discussion, councillors? Nope, we're good. Okay, we're going to take the vote on accepting that. All in favor, please raise your hand. We are all in favor. That motion is passed. Item number 14, bylaws. A, 2023 to 2027 5-year financial plan amendment bylaw. Kiera Gervais, CAO, recommended resolution that 5-year financial plan amendment bylaw number 505, 2023 be given first, second, and third reading. Do I have a motion? Is that you, Mr. Mayor? Yep, Mr. Mayor's made that motion, and
I'll
the
move that.
seconder.
I'll second that.
Oh, Councillor Paulson second, or Councillor Gilkin second that, sorry. And now discussion on that item. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor Paulson.
Yes, I just had one point to point out. point out. I had trouble figuring out 498 and 491 and 505 and which one, but on the bylaw number 505 on page 141, down in the lower left corner, it says certified a true copy of bylaw number 491, but 491 is from a previous bylaw, and it should be, this should say 505 in the lower left corner.
Excellent. That's a great catch, Councillor Paulson, and the CAO has acknowledged that is a correction that is needed. It will be made. You win the Eagle Eye Prize again.
Yay!
Yay. Any other points of discussion? Nope. I will move to the vote on this. All in favor? Please raise your hands. If you are in favor, thank you. All are in favor. That motion is passed. Item number 15, new business. We have none. Now we're on to item number 16, public question period. Oh, my apologies. CAO has a point here.
Thank you.
Number 15. public
Deputy
online.
Mayor Tinsley, we added a new business item to discuss video access to council meetings.
Thank you, CAO. My error. I wrote that somewhere, not where it's supposed to be. Do I have a motion to discuss public access to video? Oh, I'm going to ask you to do the motion or the wording for it, please. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a motion that we discuss and potentially approve or not approve access to public through, I guess, Zoom and things like that, to public meetings, which would be a service beyond what we are currently doing. All in favor? That's my motion. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Councillor Gilden seconds. Okay, open for discussion on that not well worded motion.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether or not we actually needed a motion for discussing it. We already had a motion to move it into new business.
Okay, so we're good. Let's discuss.
So we're good to go.
Yep.
We just have to do a motion. We have to come up with some kind of motion. I believe Councillor Burchett was talking about a motion to allow the public back on Teams for the regular council meetings would be the motion.
Okay, so that'd be the motion, allow the public back on Teams access to live meetings. That is the motion. Do I have a seconder for that?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Paulson. Discussion. Counselor, sorry, CAO.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just want to, I think we just need to bring ourselves back into some order here. There was a motion made earlier that the topic of discussing video, public access to council meetings be discussed. That was added as new business. It's normal for council to then receive and discuss, which you did. So if you're in the receiving and discussion phase of the
Okay.
motion to discuss Teams access, as the mayor put it, for council meetings. So you're now discussing, and as part of your discussion, someone wants to make another motion, you can.
Okay, so we're currently discussing.
You're currently discussing the topic of providing public access to regular council meetings.
Right. So discussion points, Mr. Mayor.
I think one of the big problems, I mean, there's a couple of problems that I have with the online Teams thing. But one of the biggest problems that we have right now is staff capacity. For having the CAO trying to take minutes plus work the machine in terms of the technology, I think we're asking too much at this point. So, I mean, we can re-look at this when we have another staff member that is available to actually work the computer and take care of the Teams. But at this point, I don't think we need to.
Okay, thank you. Any other councillors for discussion? Councillor Paulson.
Yes, this was actually on the December the 5th meeting where it was brought forward as a recommendation and moved to the December 19th meeting, and then that never happened, and so it's ended up coming up tonight. And I have had at least 3 people contact me from the community and ask me why it was canceled, and I don't believe there ever was a resolution to cancel it. I think when it first started, it was in relation to COVID and people not being able to get out. And we spent COVID money on buying all the audio equipment and everything so that people could. Did you want to say something, Mark?
When you're done.
Oh, okay. So I think people did start using it and attending it, and the people that have contacted me have not been able to get out of their house, or they don't drive in the dark, but they do want to attend the live feed and be able to ask questions if they are on the live feed, if they have a choice to do that. So I think that that we should not consider adding it again just because of the operation limitations. I think if we have the policy in place, then when we do get more staff or somebody that can work the equipment, then it can be automatically input again. So I think it's a valuable service, and just because of our remote and rural areas and there are lots of people that come to the meetings from the valley also, and are interested in what's going on. So I think we should keep this or reinstate this video edition, and that's all. I think it's a valuable thing for the people in the community.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Paulson. I'll just add my discussion point, and I believe we're going back to the mayor. He has another point to add. I believe that at this time, as cited, we don't have the staffing for it. I believe it is something that we can look at down the road. So I'm just agreeing with the previous mentioned the discussion item by the mayor. We do have taping available. People can watch the recording, which wasn't done before. And with questions, granted, it's nice to be able to come and not have to write anything down or anything, but people can write in at any time with questions to the staff or the village, basically, is the answer. So there's ample opportunity there. So my suggestion is that we defer a decision on implementing a policy relative to this till staffing is available, and then take a vote on it at that time. That's my discussion point. I'll refer over to Mr. Mayor if he also has another discussion item.
Yeah, one of the things, the reason why we brought in the equipment was to record the meetings because of COVID. If I remember correctly, at the last meeting where we had public on Teams, we had two people and one was not from the community. So we had one person from the community that was on there. I'm all in favor for more people attending in person. I think it encourages them to do so. But more importantly from all that, as Councillor Tinsley stated, we can look at that at a future date. Right now, it's a capacity issue primarily. So let's look at it later on. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion items, Councillor Paulson?
Yes, just as my last point, even though if we were to defer it until we do have more staff, what often happens is that deferral gets misplaced and disappears into the black hole. And
Councillor Paulson, just a point of order.
Yeah.
We're running a business here of the village, and every effort is to made to move things forward in a progressive manner when they're decided on. So I'm not sure where you're going with that, but please, please respect what's happening.
Well, if you'd let me finish where I was going.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Even though we don't have a bylaws officer or anyone to enforce the bylaws, we still have bylaw policies. So does that mean that we should get rid of our bylaw policies or fees and services, or?
Just a point of order, you're on another topic. We're not talking about a bylaw here. We're talking about this specific item.
A policy.
And whether we want to defer it to another date.
Yeah.
My summary of the discussion so far is people are interested in it. We'd love to do everything possible for transparency and access to our system. And we discussion summary is currently capacity is not there. And we are reasonably saying that at a future date, yes, it would be addressed again. I would imagine public will continue to ask for that. So I think that's a fair summary. Sorry, continue on if you have other new items to add. Thank you.
I don't have anything else to add, but I prefer not to be have my discussion interrupted. Everybody is as a point of order, everybody is entitled to have their input. And so
you are correct, Councillor Paulson, and
thank
a point
you.
of order is designed to address issues where a person
you're
has
doing,
gone
you're
off topic.
doing this, yeah, you're doing the same thing again.
I'm
Mr.
just
Peterson.
expressing what are the rules and regulations. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I
And
know.
we're all here to follow those. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. On this point, I believe
we
we're
vote?
amending it. No. No motion has been made. I then will make a motion that we bring this up as a point of consideration. Let's pick a time frame here. Within the next, by the end at the latest date of 12 months from now.
Okay, but
That's my
please-
motion. Do I have a second?
Sorry, I'm not clear on the motion.
Okay.
Is the motion to not have the teams until
Correct.
12 months from now?
my understanding is we don't currently have any actually policy on it. And the whole process here is for us to address this in a formal way and say, yes, we are going to do it now, or we are not going to do it now for the reasons we've talked about. And my understanding is that we are agreeing that we are interested in it, but we will put it as an item for future consideration within a certain time frame. That's my understanding. CAO, please.
I can just add just a little bit of context here. When we began running into the capacity issues relating to this, I asked internally what the history was about providing video access. I was told that that it was a decision centered around the public health officer's orders that people not gather. And so the opportunity for video participation was introduced then as a operational service. So it was operational in nature. I also contacted a variety, I'm going to say 5 to 6 other corporate officers and sort of asked what they were doing with respect to providing the video access. And there's a mix out there. What I received, what I was told by some was that when the people were permitted to return back to gathering in public, that they dismiss the service and other people provide the service. So there is no one way. But so right now, the decision was made by me operationally that we didn't have the capacity to provide that level of service and to discontinue it. If you want to, you know, revisit this at another time in terms of staff capacity, if it's a service council feels strongly about providing and we need to maybe put some budget towards it over and above staff, we could re-engage. I mean, you know, it might be a suggestion. The idea to re-engage in 12 months is something you can do, or at any other time for that matter.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that clarification. That's a good explanation. So my understanding of where we're at is I have made a motion to bring this up for discussion again of the potential to re-implement that at the latest date of 12 months from now. That's my motion. Do I have a second? The mayor has seconded that. We've discussed it to lots. And now, now we're going to discuss. I'm going to discuss my official motion. Any further discussion from any councillors? Yes, Councillor Paulson.
Yes, I suggest that 12 months is an extremely long period of time when we're talking about getting additional staff at the office, because I don't see how we can continue to function with the staff that we have now. And if we're not anticipating getting an increase in staff within the next 12 months, then I'm not in favor of this motion. I would prefer it be 6 months.
Thank you, Councillor Paulson. The wording is the latest of 12 months, so it allows for anywhere in there based on staffing capacity. That's my comment on the further discussion point there. So let's vote on the motion as is, which is at the latest of 12 months for the review. All in favor? And against? Councillor Paulson is against. Motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, now we are on to 16. Public question period. Maximum 15 minutes. The purpose of the public question period is to enable citizens to ask questions of council about issues that are important to the citizen asking the question. Speakers are asked to limit their questions to one each, and if time permits, after everyone has had an opportunity to ask questions, speakers may ask a second question. Citizens will be asked to state their name and address. Do we have anyone who would like to speak in this session? Yes, please come up to the mic and identify yourself and state your address. Thank you.
Please repeat the question. Or
Yes, we're going to actually
Okay.
go to the different microphones, so you should be able to hear. Can you just do a test there, please?
Thank you. My comment is in regards to the staff reports on the Kelsey Recreation Center report.
Sorry, we didn't, for the
month-
record, you do need to identify yourself and
Sorry,
state your
Lily
address.
Ettinger, 220 Sayward Heights.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, so we have the report months for December and November 2023. And when you turn it over and look at the stats for that month, participation in the Kelsey Center, it's quite easy to see that the patronage of the center is more than twice as great by Valley residents than it is by Sayward Village residents. And yet, Sayward Village residents have the privilege, I guess you want to call it, of paying an extra $300 to $400 a year on their property tax assessment in support of this center. And that was actually worked out by people within the village office. And I would really like to know, when are village residents going to be able to quit supporting the freeloaders using this center and either get a tax reduction? I mean, I don't know whether we need to take it to the BC Assessment Authority or who we need to take it to, but it needs to stop. It needs to be fair.
Thank you. I know it's an interesting point. It has been brought up before. My understanding, just to address this, because I believe it's in public records, there are discussions relative to coordination with the SRD. And I'm actually going to defer to the mayor because I believe he has other information on that I do not.
Thanks. Yeah, we're right now, as you remember, the whole Strathcona Gardens came up just recently. And there was a large amount of dissent on whether or not we should be supporting the Strathcona Gardens. We have came out and specifically said we're not in favor of it by any means. The Valley has come out and said that they are not in favor of supporting the Strathcona Gardens either under any circumstances. However, there is an opportunity that if the Valley does not want to support the gardens, that they should be supporting the Kelsey Center. So this is something that I am working towards. I don't have any direct answers for you on a yes or no yet, but it is something that is in the works.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we have any other questions from the public? Yep, please step up to the mic, identify yourself and your address. Thank you. You get to use that manual one there. Yeah. Oh, right, sorry.
I can take this care. David Malinsky, 431 McMillan Drive. I've been listening to the question about Teams operations and your broadcast activity. I believe that there is a technical solution to your challenge by using the Teams in the broadcast mode rather than with open meeting input. I'm happy to communicate with staff and identify whether or not you have the licensing within Teams to make this happen. I'm with other organizations that I've been part of. We have a broadcast methodology. It comes off very much like a television show. However, you can input text questions rather than video and audio interrupt, which is what I believe what the council is attempting to avoid. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much. The CAO is making note of that information, and as part of our potential continued move in more transparency and access, I'm sure they they potentially will contact you about that interesting service. Thank you. Any other people with questions or discussion points that would like to present themselves at the mic? I am seeing heads go. One more. We have a second question. Please identify yourself again for the recording and your address. Thank you.
Ettinger again, 220 Sayward Heights, and it was relating back again to the center and funding. I would like to know, we all voted. We'd like to know when the on the situation with the Campbell River Recreation Center and whether or not we should be taxed on their recreation center, which benefits us not. And so far, I'm wondering when we're going to hear decisively whether or not we have been removed from that taxation catch area. And I would also like to know why we are taking at their word the other regional district directors' ideas that they may start contributing here. We want something concrete. We've been paying extra for this center for the 7 years that I've lived here, 8 years that I've lived here. And there just has been no fairness. It's time that they got pressed to the wall and came up with some real answers.
Great, thank you. Just on the point of our taxation for the center in Campbell River, my understanding, the mayor, and correct me if you're wrong, there is no, we will not be paying for that. Correct me if I'm wrong. The issue of the fact we are all aware of the cost of running the Kelsey Center. We are all aware of the amount of money it loses every year. Studies have been started, as I understand, and we will continue to look at that center and its operation relative to the total budget of this village. And yes, it's not about discussions. It's about moving forward to fix hard money issues. And it is on the agenda, and unfortunately things do take a while to work out. But any village, particularly a small village like ours, has to look at an asset such as that is costing money and also highly underutilized by the citizens. So it's coming down the pipe. That's my discussion. Anyone else want to add? Mr. Mayor probably might want to add to that. I'm not sure, but I'm not forcing you.
You kind of are.
Okay.
Just kidding.
He doesn't want to talk, so
no,
take my little
it's
summary.
fine. We are pushing hard. There's no way we're going to be paying for the gardens in the village. It's not going to happen. The question is primarily is when the reports are going to be done from the individuals that are doing the reports. When are they going to be done so we can move on and get support from Area A? That's really the date that I'm waiting for. So hopefully it'll be done within the next month or so, but I don't have a guaranteed date on that.
Excellent. Thank you. There we are. Any other questions? Yeah, we do actually have more time. No, I think we're good. Everyone's shaking their hands, putting their coats on. Okay. So I believe it is time for me to request on a vote on adjournment. I make a motion that we adjourn the public meeting and move to.
Sorry.
No, then I've got to do the in-camera part here. We are going to, thank you, yes. Between the mayor and the CAO looking at me like I'm crazy. We're now on to the last item here. Item 17, in camera. Recommended resolution that in accordance with section 92 of the community charter, this council meeting will be closed to the public at this time in order that council may give consideration to matters in accordance with the following sections of the community charter. Section 91C, labor relations or other employee relations. Section 91G, litigation or potential litigation impacting the local government. And Section 91I, the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Section 91K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages, and that, in the view of the council, could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. I have completed that part. And now item 18, adjournment. I make a motion that we adjourn the public portion of the meeting. I have a seconder. The
moved.
mayor has seconded that. All in favor? Meeting closed.